Let's jump to this story from the National Post. My friends, if you do not remain vigilant, and perhaps if Donald Trump does not win, our country could turn into their country. And you know what that means. New liberal online harms bill to make online hate punishable by life, up to life in prison. Bill C-63 aims to force social media user uploaded adult content and live streaming services to reduce exposure to online content deemed harmful. That's right. Hate speech. If your hate speech is particularly egregious, you could go to life in prison. So congratulations, Canada. You have become one of the most authoritarian, disgusting states on the planet. Not the worst, but fairly bad. Fairly bad. They say that it also amends the criminal code to create new standalone hate crime offense that would allow penalties up to life imprisonment to deter hateful conduct. Wow. As well as raise the maximum punishments for hate propaganda offenses from 5 years to life imprisonment for advocating genocide. Well, I'm not a fan of anybody who advocates for genocide, but it's kind of wild that they'll lock you up for your speech. So it makes me really want to just troll and insult and harass Canada. Yeah.
Well, Canada never promised anyone free speech. They're acting within their means. It's just wild that this is what they think their biggest issue is. I'm being serious. I mean, Canada also has a huge immigration issue. I mean, they have people coming to Canada as refugees and all kinds of things going on. It's interesting that this is Justin Trudeau's focus, right? That actually
doesn't he want to be like China?
I don't really know what they want, right?
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
He idols Xi Jinping or whatever.
Sure,
China,
and that's great for him.
China.
It's just that I don't think that's in touch with what actual Canadians want and what would benefit them. I mean,
you think?
I kind of think Canadians are all about it. I love this quote though. They said, I just love this. It says, the bill also creates a new digital safety commission, which will be responsible for enforcing rules and holding online services accountable, as well as a separate digital safety ombudsperson, which will support and advocate for users and make recommendations to social media services and government. I love that. Ombudsperson.
Ombudsperson?
Ombudsperson.
Dude.
I heard him say that now. It's just like, okay.
What is that?
An ombudsman is like an accountability official.
Okay.
They,
but we can't say man because that would mean.
Are
So
there
it's
people that can
ombudsperson.
shoot this bill down in the Canadian Parliament? Does it go to their Senate? How does that? And then they're like, this is insane. Let's not do this.
Yes, of course. But you think the Canadian Liberal government they're gonna go yay and they're gonna rubber stamp it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
yeah, it's similar to us, right? They have to have enough support against it, and just like here in the House might vote for something that will immediately get shut down by the Senate. They have their own checks and balances.
Life in prison for hate speech.
Dude.
Canada sucks.
I know. I might never go there. I used to love that country.
Yeah.
I loved it. It just seemed like another America,
Poutine, man.
another United States.
Yeah, get some go to a debonair and pick up some snacks.
I don't know. You Canadians are gonna have to take evasive action, man, because this ain't right.
I just think Canada's going to be a more we talk about how there are sort of two Americas. There's a very polarized population. There are people who couldn't get along even if we really needed them to. And Canada's similar. Remember, they're the country that had the trucker convoy and said, "Hey, this COVID regulation is out of hand and you're hurting all of us. You're making it impossible for us to maintain our livelihood." I think that's one of the strange things about Canada, which is they're right next to us, but also we really only hear sort of one side of the coin. We only hear from certain angles of Canada, because similar to America, there are certain people who are in charge of the media. And so that viewpoint comes out, even though there are actual Canadians who believe all kinds of things that are actually very more similar to what conservative Americans would believe.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Canada sucks.
Yeah.
Hey. Parts of it are cool.
Well, I mean, sure. The part with all the moose,
They're stuck.
I'm always partial to the maritime provinces, but again, that's because that's where my family's from.
I actually wouldn't mind going to the Yukon and try my hand at gold mining.
There you go. And there's moose
actually
up there, too. Be careful. Moose are very dangerous. What's the plural of moose? Mooses?
Meese?
Meese,
I
I
think
think.
I think it's moose.
Yeah, it's just moose. Pretty sure it's just moose.
Wouldn't it be great if it was meese? Like the geese?
This is I'm kind of like in a deer in headlights over this. Yeah, it is. The plural form of moose is moose.
Huh.
Now you know. Comes from
Right.
Algonquin, Native American language. Yeah. This is so dystopian and ruthless and insane and it's on the country. It's in the country that's right bordering mine, like 8 hours away from here. That if you say, I mean, this is like two kids fighting, and one of them goes to prison for life. Like it's that kind of verbiage. You're going to put people in prison.
Wouldn't it be funny if
and it's biased, right?
Wouldn't it be
certain
funny
things are
if-
going to be hate speech, and certain things are going to not be considered hate
Wouldn't it be
speech.
funny if Canada has a civil war before us
Yeah,
over this
great.
stuff, and it's just like it's like the Spanish Civil War,
Yeah.
the far left and the right.
Yeah.
We're just like, whoa, what's going on?
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know what life is like up there right now, but
It's cold.
this is
What do they have,
banned
30 million
handguns? Didn't
Yeah.
Trudeau try to ban handguns?
Tried to.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, well, on
did.
paper, but yeah, they did. I guess technically.
It's gonna be like some dude up in the middle of the Yukon territory, and he gets attacked by a moose, and he's unarmed. And he's gonna be like, oh, that's the end. Trudeau, you have forsaken me. Yeah,
He's like a dictator, Trudeau.
Pretty much.
I mean, the problem is that they're all far left. They're all insane. It's kind of wild. Like what happened to Canada? They're like winter people.
Yeah.
You know, you'd think they'd be
Did their brains freeze?
well, like
That trucker convoy was badass, but then they came down and banned bank accounts. Like that's what we're up. That's what people are up
Their
against.
country is deeply divided. I mean,
Yeah.
there really is there are two different types of people in Canada. I really feel that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I've met Canadians that are like in Toronto and who are just like city people who are city folk who couldn't, I'm not gonna make fun of them, but I've met people who are hardcore city folk and people that are like hardcore, living in the sticks, living in the real forests, and it's so polar opposite. It's
Yeah.
wild.
I wonder if it'll be like these two types of people. One are the people that are like, you're going to do what we say, you're going to live in our systems that we build, and you'll have access to our money. And then the other people are like, I refuse to do whatever you're trying to make me do. I refuse to listen to these bad laws. They're like, okay, then you can't use our money anymore.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to live off of the dollar, basically.
I mean,
with
this is something that happens in America right now where people will say, we don't like the things that you say or do online, so you can't use any of our services. It just turns out that all of our services are the mainstream thing that people need to operate and function in society, right? It's the same thing as people being unbanked or deplatformed in America. This already exists. It's just in Canada, because they don't have the free speech protection. That's where my concern is, that there will be certain viewpoints that while they might advocate very negative, violent things because they line up on one political agenda, they're okay, but the other side is not okay.
Yeah, you
That's
gotta
the problem
have
with hate speech laws.
you gotta have monopoly laws in place too. Like you can't let companies just decide who can say what if they're the only company that runs that piece of the
Well,
of the
but
sector.
one of the problems we have here in the States, though, is you have companies saying, "Oh, we're a private company," or you have people defending private companies. Oh, like you can, they can run their business however they want. If they don't want their users to be able to say this, they're a private business. Here's the thing: if you take money from the government, if it's a subsidy from the government, like that's actually our money that's going into it. You're no longer really you might be a private company or a private company legally, but if you're taking money from the government in the form of a subsidy, then no, we absolutely can say, no, you can't censor us. We have a First Amendment. That's my money that's actually going into your pocket. That you're not using my money against me, right? That's the
You're
problem
not
we
a
have.
truly private company,
Right, exactly.
Supreme Court was heard arguments, I think, the other day on social media censorship. And it's sounding like they're all inclined to allow big tech companies to do whatever they want.
You've got to. We're not.
No, I disagree.
I don't think you can start using government to dictate what private companies can and can't do.
No, you dictate what they can't do, yes. Yeah, you say you can't do that.
Can't do what though?
Like if AT&T started shutting off phone calls from people because they were talking about voting for Trump, we'd have to stop that.
I agree with that.
So if Twitter is shutting down accounts from people who say, I'm going to vote for Trump and here's why, we have to stop
But
that.
AT&T shouldn't know what my conversations are anyway. If they're listening to my conversations, that should be shut down. So it doesn't really matter what I'm talking about.
Well, I
Whereas
mean,
these public
that,
conversation
whether AT&T
platforms-
knows what you're saying is immaterial to the fact that they should not be allowed to shut down your conversations.
Well, I can say this: my opponent disagrees with you. He voted to renew FISA Section 702.
What's that?
Jeez.
So the FISA and the FISA court. So basically, FISA. The FISA courts are actually done in secret. It's supposed to be another level of a check and a balance, but it's really not, because it's kind of done behind closed doors. And so when you look at, say, you look at the Patriot Act, you look at FISA, and it basically authorizes the warrantless spying of American citizens, which my opponent supports. And so to me, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I think the whole world's spying on us right now. So they're like, well, what's it going to hurt if there's one more government, our own, also doing it? Because actually that'll give us protection against these other countries that have the data. Now we'll have a copy of it. So I kind of get the argument, but
see, this is my biggest problem with people that are anti-TikTok. So I'm not anti-TikTok. I think that TikTok is a platform that conservatives can actually use to actually get the truth out there. I think that I personally don't feel like that China or Russia are our greatest threats. I believe our own government is our greatest threat at this point. And so they don't want TikTok in the United States because they don't control it. But the reality is there's a lot of conservatives, there's a lot of patriots that use TikTok to get information out there that they can't get out there on Facebook. They can't get out there. And here's the thing, younger millennials and Gen Z, they're not on Facebook, right? They're on places like TikTok. So you could always say, well, they could just jump on Truth Social and they could do the same thing. The problem is that Gen Z ain't on Truth Social, right? They're on TikTok. So how are we supposed to reach that up and coming generation if we're not on the same platform?
Ban it.
I just disagree. I think that we need to become smarter than the enemy. And I think that just like with Facebook, whenever everybody was jumping off of Facebook, I stayed on Facebook because I'm like, you know what? Facebook is the mission field, right? That's where the people that need to hear this message of liberty, that's where they are.
Yeah. I don't totally understand.
TikTok's not. TikTok is one of the most egregious censorship machines out of all the big social networks. We got the original Timcast IRL account posting clips in the show got banned and for no reason. Why? Counter narrative. And what do you get instead? Dylan Mulvaney. So how about we just say, yeah, this big tech platform should be sold to an American company, so it can fall under our control. But foreign algorithmic manipulation of our youth is probably more powerful than any nuclear bomb in destroying a country. So banned. And or how about this? Ban all algorithms.
Yeah.
No algorithmic feeds. Bye-bye. Gone.
Okay, so what about if you did that? What you say you want to operate TikTok in the United States? Here's the way that you have
solely by an American company.
Here's what you have to do.
Yeah, so they have to get rid of the algorithms, and I think Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of them should purge the algorithms.
I mean, the likelihood that's ever going to happen is pretty slim.
So then what you get is YouTube will decide who wins elections. Google will decide who wins elections, and TikTok will advocate sex changes to your children. So the idea that we're going to be like, look, kids use the platform that advocates child sex changes, we should keep it. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a fan of a foreign country, whether it's China, through ByteDance or whatever, using an algorithm to manipulate the youth of the United States into psychotic ideologies that they don't themselves believe in.
No, I mean, I agree to an extent, but I mean, I also believe that the likelihood that TikTok is going to get banned, it may not, but until that happens, then why don't we just get on there and outsmart them in their own game?
Because we got banned like 3 times already.
Well, no, I mean,
and
y'all,
we didn't even break the rules.
Y'all have a big platform, but I mean, I know plenty of other people that are on TikTok that are actually reaching Gen Z, that are actually getting the truth out there.
So the way the social media companies have always operated is through a reverse pressure system. That is, for every 6 posts that we allow, for every 6 leftist posts, we'll allow 3 right-wing posts. Why? That creates a downhill slope towards leftism. And the intention is not to promote the ideology of leftism. It's to promote crackpot psychotic ideologies that result in people killing themselves. So you end up with people who are like, Dylan Mulvaney is a really great example of how TikTok is a weapon, whether intentionally or otherwise, fine, whatever, make your arguments. Dylan Mulvaney's original content was, I'm on a safari, look at the animals. Didn't get any views. Dylan Mulvaney then tried making I'm on The Price is Right, was posted there and tried to do acting and stuff. Didn't get any views. Then Dylan Mulvaney said, I am non-binary. Hundreds of thousands of views. Well, you can only come out as non-binary once or twice. So there's a couple of videos about being non-binary and they got a decent amount of views. And then all of a sudden Dylan Mulvaney comes out and says, I'm trans. Then Dylan Mulvaney figured out the algorithm. Day 1 of being trans, day 2 of being trans, day 3 of being trans. If you actually look at these videos, Dylan Mulvaney is doing things that are just designed and intended to insult women. Day one of being a woman, I just cried for 3 hours for no reason. I'm buying a dress I can't afford, and now I'm going to write a letter to the editor complaining. That's not being trans. Then Dylan Mulvaney put on high heels and ran around the forest going, This is not being trans. It was Dylan Mulvaney on TikTok trying to figure out what kind of content TikTok would promote to make Dylan Mulvaney famous. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.